Hi there. In the previous section, we explored Spring Boot Actuator, a toolkit aimed at production. In this section, we'll check out Spring Boot DevTools with a series of videos aimed at improving the developer's experience. In these videos, we're going to focus on hot swapping code and decaching templates. We're also going to develop our app inside the IDE while it runs in our target environment of deployment, notably in the cloud. We're also going to look at debugging remote apps with our IDE, and then finally turning our app into a Unix, Linux-based service. In this video, video 2.1, we're going to explore hot swapping of code and decaching the templates. We're going to learn about using an embedded LiveReload server that Spring Boot provides. We're going to tweak things like the templates and also see code changes appear immediately in the website. And then finally, we're going to make adjustments to our code and not have to restart the app at all. If you remember, when we set up our social media app at start.spring.io, we selected DevTools. That provided us with a dependency called Spring Boot DevTools. If we go look into our build file, we can find that entry right here. Essentially, if you want to add it to an existing app that you've already stood up, this is the single dependency that you have to add. Do that and we'll be able to do the rest of the stuff throughout this video. Now what we're going to do is launch the app in debug mode. A lot of IDEs already come out of the box with certain amounts of either hot swapping or reload support built in when you use debug mode. It's highly recommended when using Spring Boot DevTools. Now the first thing that DevTools does is it enables what's called a LiveReload server. And if I look in the console here, I can actually see it mentioned here, right before we get to the bit about Tomcat running. LiveReload is a tool set that removes the need for you to hit the refresh button in your browser. And while the toolkit can be embedded into any application stack, DevTools does all of this for us automatically. Now let's go flip over to the browser and check things out. I'm going to go navigate to the website, our nice social media platform that we've been building, but I'm going to focus over here on a plugin that I have. You'll notice it pops up and says Enable LiveReload. This is the part where I want to click that and turn it on. So now that this browser with this plugin, and particularly in Chrome, will listen for LiveReload updates to automatically refresh the browser for us. Now this is a plugin that you need to install in your browser, and they actually have support for the major browsers out there right now. So with this in place, let's go back to the IDE and make some changes. First of all, let's start off by editing our template. Let's put in a little extra marketing information. Now, by default, many template solutions, including Timeleaf, cache up templates to avoid reparsing them in production. Now, that makes sense, but for development, it can actually get in our way, and instead we'd rather disable that feature. Now, it's possible to go in and flip some properties in Boot to do that, but what happens is when you put DevTools on the class path, is it disables all that for you automatically. Now, to send a signal to DevTools that we have made a change in our code, it kind of depends on the IDE. For Eclipse, all you have to do is save the file that you're editing to get the signal through. But IntelliJ doesn't have that, doesn't have a save feature. So instead, if we use make project or a Command F9 call, that'll get the signal through. Now let's go back to the browser and we'll see what's happened. It's already updated. We can already see this message displayed here. Now for the next round, let's go back to our IDE and fiddle with some of the Java code. We're going to go into our home controller here and see if we can update our success message that we have when we do a create file. So here's the flash message that we put together where it says, successfully uploaded. I'm going to change it up a little bit. So, hey, you nailed it this time with the file's name. Now in this case, I'm going to actually do the same thing. Let's do a make project step here. And let's look down here in the console. You notice how suddenly the app is cycling through again. This is DevTools doing an automated restart for us. This tells us the changes in place, Let's go back and look at the website. Now we altered the flash message, so there's nothing to see immediately, but it should be apparent if we upload a picture. Well, we uploaded an image, and now we can see our new message. You nailed it this time with bazinga.jpg. Now, DevTool restarts aren't perfect by any means. There may be certain third-party libraries that don't cooperate with it, and there's other circumstances that are going to require you to physically restart the app. But just think about the amount of developer time that can be saved by this feature. It's nothing short of fantastic. Now, for review, what we did in this video is we fired up our app in debug mode to ensure the IDE was helping us as much as possible. We then enabled LiveReload in the browser, and after that we made changes to both the template and to our Spring MVC controller code. Spring Boot DevTools automatically issued restarts and showed us the updates without us having to click the browser's refresh button.